Hawkeye Volume 2. Now, Volume 1 of Hawkeye went through his various sort of Avengers and Iron Man appearances and all that because he really never had his own book. He had a quick miniseries after that. Then he got a starring role in Solo Avengers, and this covers Solo Avengers 1 through 20, and and of course Avengers Spotlight 21 as they rebranded the series at that point. Most of it's written by Tom DeFalco, and the Hawkeye stories in this, they're all 10-pagers, and it starts out with him fighting in a circus. Then he has to go back, and there's another Aerosmith kind of in his origin. Where he has to then fight, and it turns out the guy has cancer, and so he was hoping Hawkeye would just kill him. Now, you'll notice here's Captain Marvel. This has nothing to do with Hawkeye. Every issue also features a different Avenger in a 10-page vignette about them, and most of them are kind of like the B or C tier Avengers that you don't read about much, and that's why it's Avengers Spotlight, right? So you get to see these solo Avengers working. There's a Moon Knight one throughout the entire thing. Now, the Hawkeye storylines usually go 2 or 3 series long, or issues long. And then here's one where he's in the jungle doing his thing here. Some of them are one-offs also. And they're really enjoyable. Tom DeFalco does a decent job, and we learn a little bit about Hawkeye. Now, a lot of what's happening with Hawkeye personally is not actually happening on these pages, which is kind of annoying to read the Hawkeye book. These are because they're 10-page stories, they're very quick and very, straight to the point a lot of the time. Whereas, we learn that, he breaks up with Mockingbird over the course of this. There's a very famous Black Widow story that's a backup here. And then, of course, he's lamenting over Mockingbird half the way through this as well. And so it's but this stuff didn't happen on page. It all happened in the Avengers book. And we're just kind of learning about it here as Hawkeye kind of has his own storylines here. This one, Mockingbird's about to get back with him, maybe. She's thinking about it. And then he goes after Black Widow, who gets kidnapped. Mockingbird shows up at some point, but she's mad at him because, of course, he's going after his ex, who is Black Widow. And she's like, wait a minute, what about me? And, of course, that's a nice 3-issue storyline as well. There's a Moondragon storyline. Moondragon is dead in the MCU, or not MCU, in this series, in main Marvel universe, whatever you want to call it, at this point. And, of course, this is there's 3 separate 10-page stories that brings her back as kind of a new character as well in here. You see, the art is not always the best. They're not putting the best quality artists on here, but, it's serviceable. You see a lot of straight-on shots, and you see these lines, which are not the crispest through this Black Widow storyline in here. So all the Hawkeye storylines are pretty good. Like I said, the actual drama behind the character really takes place in the Avengers books. So these are kind of just side stories, it feels like. But it's done pretty well. Howard Mackie takes over at the end, and Howard Mackie's stories are not quite as sharp as DeFalco's in those stories as well. Now, the Avengers background stories are really hit and miss. Some of them are good, some of them are unreadable. You just depends on who's on the creative team on it, depends on what's happening there on that front. Now, Chris Claremont did do one, which ties into the X-Men, which is actually really nicely done through there. And that's probably my favorite one of those as that goes. But this is, it's all right. It was not the best material, but it was worth reading, of course, getting through these books of Solo Avengers, which really haven't been reprinted in their entirety before. So it's kind of cool to get that there. All right. I call this a 7 out of 10. Pretty much average fare for the early 90s for Hawkeye and the Avengers. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.